Our next speaker is Dr. Gabriella Baki. Gabriella Baki is an associate professor at the University of Toledo College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. She serves as the program director and main instructor for various lectures and laboratories in a unique undergraduate program, the BS in Pharmaceutical Sciences, Cosmetic Science, and Formulation Design major. It is the first and currently the only undergraduate program in the United States that focuses exclusively on cosmetics and personal care products. Dr. Baki is a pharmacist, graduating in 2008 from the University of Szeged, right? Hungary, close. And she also has a PhD in pharmaceutics from the same university. She has been a faculty member at the University of Toledo since January of 2012. Dr. Baki's main research focus lies in the area of topical delivery for active ingredients and cosmetic actives, sensory testing of creams and lotions, as well as sun protection factor and broad spectrum boosting technologies. Dr. Baki has made over a dozen technical presentations and written over 40 publications. She has contributed to a few book chapters and has a book, Introduction to Cosmetic Formulation and Technology, published by John Riley and Sons. So with that.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. And I just wanted to say kudos to the NYSCC for organizing the Suppliers Day and this awesome event for students to attend, the Career Development Day. What a great event for you guys to learn about various career paths and various schools. And there will be companies here in the afternoon there where you can network other than the ones on the floor. Thank you so much for the invitation to be a speaker. I'm honored. And I was asked to talk about Introduction to Cosmetic Science Education today, and my subtitle is The Road to Become a Cosmetic Chemist, although I have to mention that our previous speakers and myself included will talk about more than just becoming a cosmetic chemist. As we discussed it earlier today, there is so much you can do in the industry. There are so many career pathways. I'm a professor, associate professor, and the director of the undergraduate program in Toledo. And speaking from my own perspective, most of our students would like to become cosmetic chemists. But it doesn't mean that we don't have all those other students who are doing other things. So I will touch on things along the lines of all of that. So just keep that in mind. And so I thought I was gonna go back to Marisa's lecture a little bit and just really explain the sciences that are really helpful for students to have in your undergraduate training and master's training if you would like to work in the cosmetic and personal care industry. And I sort of put the courses, and I'm missing a lot of courses probably, it's more of just a perspective. I put them into these boxes for you, so just walking you through the types of sciences. As we discussed it earlier today, cosmetic science is really a multidisciplinary science. It's not just straight chemistry. It's not just biology. It's not just, regulations. It's a mixture of a lot of things. That's why it's so exciting, and that's why you can do so many things with a degree in cosmetic science or with a background in cosmetic science. And it's really, I will show it, it's really not just sciences, it's also business, and it's also art. So I'm starting here with chemistry. Like I said, I'm probably missing chemistry courses here, but you really have to have a good foundation in chemistry, and that includes Gen Chem, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, biochem, analytical sciences, analytical chemistry, where you would learn about how to identify impurities or certain components in products, also colloid chemistry, to be able to formulate and stabilize emulsions and things like that, to really understand the science. So chemistry is like a core of cosmetic science. But then there is also biology. We work with products that will be applied to the skin, to the hair, to the teeth, to the nails. So you really have to understand how your skin is supposed to function, why, and then you would understand why are we developing wrinkles or why do we have dry skin. So having the basic understanding is important, and then you would build onto that. So for example, physiology would teach you about the normal function of the human body. Pharmacology would teach you about the science of how drugs interact with the body. So if you have acne and we throw in some benzoyl peroxide into the facial cleanser, your acne is clearing up. What is happening? How is benzoyl peroxide actually working? So pharmacology would teach you those basics, how drugs work in the body. Molecular biology is looking at things at the molecular level. Microbiology is very important, and that's, you can look at it from two perspectives. It's the science of germs, really. And so we have a lot of germs in our inside, outside of our bodies. And that's, from one perspective, is really good because these germs keep us healthy. And we talk a lot about the microbiome. You can see a lot of products with probiotic, prebiotic claims. So that's good. We want to keep our healthy microbiome. At the same time, when you have a facial moisturizer, you take the cap off, you dip your finger in, put it on your face. You're putting your germs from your fingers into the jar. So we have to make sure that products are preserved and they're not going to grow any molds or any other things in it. So microbiology is like a two-sided thing. One side, you want to keep it on your skin. One side, you want to keep the germs out of your product. So it really teaches you a lot how to keep the CFU units low in products, but keep your healthy microbiome. And then also dermatology is really the science of skin, healthy skin, and how to keep the skin healthy, and also diseases and treatments for those. And like we said, most products are applied to the skin, so that's really important to have some sort of understanding of skin, skin physiology, dermatology. So moving on to the next box, basic sciences. I hope I don't have to explain that too much. Anything you do, we have to use math. If you create batch sheets, if you do claims testing or quality control, we are comparing batches to batches. You have to calculate averages. If you're running clinical trials, you have to calculate, statistics. So that's like the core of a lot of sciences. Also physics, a lot of testing goes back to physics. If you think of hair conditioners, we're testing friction. So a lot of methods, and to interpret results, you really need to have some physics basics. And I put pharmaceutical calculations there. It's always helpful to have some pharmaceutical background. A lot of the pharmaceutical products are interrelatable to cosmetic products, and just having an understanding of how you calculate things that only pharmaceutical scientists think about, it could be very helpful in your cosmetic and personal care education and work out there. And then I think the core of really cosmetic science is, especially if you want to become a cosmetic chemist, is formulation, which is a hands-on skill. We teach our students in Toledo in 4 semesters in the lab, making a lot of products. First, they start out with pharmaceutical products, and then they move on to personal care and makeup. And this is one of my favorite parts. You come to the lab, we take the 18 ingredients, and we make a shampoo together. We make a lipstick together, but it's really more than just pulling ingredients. Understanding how to create that product, it's like cooking or baking. You have to know how to process them, when to mix them, if you have to heat it, if you have to adjust the pH to make the perfect product. These are things you can learn on the job, probably. Not a lot of schools teach extensive formulation training, but it's really important for you, if you want to be a chemist, to know how to make those products. So if you have any pharmaceutics background, that could be very helpful. If you had any hands-on training in cosmetic science, like the workshop yesterday morning and afternoon, that's really what formulation science is, understanding the function of the ingredients in the products and why you need those in the product. We don't just throw in ingredients into products to have more and have a longer list of chemicals on the label. That doesn't make sense. There is always a function for every single ingredient. Now, moving on to regulations, as Marissa was mentioning, a lot of the products are drugs, actually, in the United States. A lot of products we use have both cosmetic and drug functions, so they are regulated from both perspectives, like sunscreens, hand sanitizers, antimicrobial hand soaps, anti-acne products. But even if you just think of your cosmetic products, you want to make a blush, you have to know what colors you can work with. You can't just crush up any blueberries and use it as an ingredient, because that's not approved in the United States. So just understanding your legal framework, and yes, you will be working with regulatory people on your team when you work as a chemist. It still helps you to understand what websites I can go to check certain ingredients, EPA's website, FDA's website. If you're in California, checking all those VOC regulations specific to the state. The FDA has a GMP guideline for the cosmetic industry. A lot of companies do both types of products, drugs and cosmetics, so they are required to follow the GMP. Just understanding really the environment, if you're doing clinical studies, understanding really the regulations and guidelines along the lines of those is just really helpful. So if you have any background in regulations, just a little bit of understanding, that can really set you aside and really make you unique when you're applying for jobs. And then going back to the art part, of course, when you think of makeup, yes, it has to look pretty. But if you think of your shampoo, or if you think of your toothpaste, those, as we say, have to be cosmetically elegant. You want to make products that people want to touch and smell and use. You don't want to make ugly products that people are actually disgusted by, by using, because they will move on to something else. So even when it comes to making a shampoo, just throwing in some opacifiers or pearlescent agents could really make products very pretty, and that's where art comes in. It doesn't mean that you have to paint and work with colors all the time. So we do teach some color theory to students, and students can take elective courses, but it's also good to have an understanding here. And then business, as the previous speakers were talking about, how important. I mean, all those companies out there, they are businesses. Their goal is to sell either their ingredients, their services, their products. So you really have to understand where they're coming from. You can pursue careers in technical sales and technical marketing, but even if you just want to be a chemist at the bench, you will be working with those folks. You have to understand the conversations you're having and your goal as a company. So having coursework in sales, marketing, some types of economics is really helpful. Our students are required to take some of these basic courses, but you could just add these on as elective courses if you're pursuing other undergraduate majors. And then if there is more, like, you could just stop now, Dr. Baki, but there is more. You could also boost your resume by learning about sustainability. Sustainability is everywhere. You guys are pushing it. Gen Z is so interested and in purchasing products, understanding, where ingredients come from, how sustainable they are being processed, what happens to packaging when you throw it out. So it's really driving a lot of changes in the industry, and just knowing more about sustainability can, again, really put you above everybody else in the among the candidates. If you're interested in technical marketing, why don't you learn about Adobe apps like InDesign or Photoshop when you are in school? Because that's what people use out there. So that could, if you're like, I'm going to be technical marketing, then you could boost your resume with getting the skills that, yes, you can learn that on the job, but if you have a course in school that could teach you, why don't you try to do that? So I usually tell students that usually there is just too much you can choose from. So try to decide what you're interested in, and try to see where you want to be in 5 years, and try to have mentors and advisors around you who can sort of guide you through the process of getting to your destination in 5 years. And so going to the degree options, I know we talked about schools earlier today. I just kind of wanted to break it down that there are bachelor's, obviously, undergraduate degrees you can pursue. And if you talk to people out there, they will say what Marisa said, that I did not know cosmetic chemistry was a thing. I sort of had a chemistry degree and happened to work at this company. You guys are so fortunate to know that the cosmetic industry is a type of industry. Cosmetic science is a career you can pursue. There are schools out there that could train you to become chemists and very efficient from day one. So we have a cosmetic science degree in Toledo. That's the only undergraduate program in the nation. But there are students who pursue other types of undergraduate degrees. And those include, again, there is probably more than what I listed here. You could have a chemistry, chemical engineering, pharmaceutical sciences as a broader science, microbiology, biology, and probably a lot more. And these are typically, you're looking at a 4-year undergraduate degree. Now there are master's programs, and these master's programs typically either focus on cosmetic science or are pharmaceutical sciences with a concentration or emphasis in cosmetic science. There are other types of degrees that people have earned before and work at the industry. Those could be chemical engineering, pharmaceutical sciences. There is a regulatory sciences master's degree. You could do OChem. It really depends on what you want to do. If you want to be a synthetic chemist who makes the chemicals out there, then probably you're looking at organic chemistry. If you want to be a cosmetic chemist who uses the chemicals and makes a shampoo, then probably you're looking at more pharmaceutical sciences and cosmetic science. If you want to be sort of an in-between person who's understands how ingredients or products are made but want to market them or sell them, then you're looking at more business types or combination types of degrees between science and business. And there are Doctor of Philosophy degrees out there. Those are the PhDs. That's the highest degree you can earn. And you will see that There isn't like a PhD in cosmetic science because cosmetic science, we just talked about it, is very broad. It's a multidisciplinary science. So people, when they get to the PhD level, they typically specialize. So they would choose a slice of cosmetic science and they would just dive deep into it. And that could be pharmaceutics, which is a type of pharmaceutical sciences, could be polymer science. Polymers are in everything. Or could be surfactants, but it's usually just a single slice of it, not the entire breadth of cosmetic science. Could be chemical engineering, toxicology, a lot more. When it comes to master's degrees, it depends if you want to do online or in person at the bench. Typically, online master's programs would offer capstone projects. There are master's programs that are bench research projects. So you're looking at 1 to 2 years typically. Probably could be longer or shorter. And for a PhD degree, you're looking at typically bench research, so those are not online. You would be at a school doing research typically for about 4 to 5 years. So just so you know, adding all these years up. Okay, that's a lot of information, like, well, what am I gonna do? What questions do you ask yourself? Well, how far along are you in your academic education? Are you a high school student? Because you can plan this out, right? You have all the college years to sort of figure out. If you're in college, are you a freshman or are you a senior? If you found out about a school that, wow, I really want to go to that school, are you willing to relocate? Can you transfer over, can you transfer credits over so you don't have to start from scratch? If you're done with your undergraduate degree, which master's program will fit you? Or you could just go straight to a PhD, as I will show you. So it's really a lot of questions to sort of ask yourself. And it's good to talk to your friends, but your friends are not you, so you really have to have a personal plan here. And then also think about, am I going for an entry-level job? Am I interested more in an associate-level job? Do you want to do bench research, not making products, but doing the research that will facilitate innovation along the lines? Do you want to do marketing, cosmetic chemistry? Do you want to do regulatory affairs? These are important things to figure out. There are so many things you can do. All the speakers before me mentioned LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, I usually tell my students, one bonus point if you do it now, create a LinkedIn account today. That's a professional networking app. It's not like Facebook or Instagram. It's your professional photo with your professional background, but it really allows you to connect with people here today, go to SEC meetings. It really helps you to grow your professional network. Also, it was mentioned before, HAPPY is the household and personal products personal care products industry, global cosmetic industry, cosmetics and toiletries. These are trade magazines, so experts would write articles, and there are a bunch of advertisements, a bunch of news about acquisitions, new patents. So you can really just start learning about words, companies. It's great to subscribe to these websites. They also have printed magazines just to really start understanding what's going on out there. All right, what should I do? You can do a lot of things. So I've had students who got their bachelor's degrees. That's what most of our students do, go get jobs. If you look at, LinkedIn has also a great job search site, although as Abby said, many jobs, more than half of the jobs are actually not advertised. Like, how am I going to know about those? Well, you should have a network who will tell you about that I know you're interested in this, and I've just heard about this job. But I would advise you to go on LinkedIn, look up some jobs, and read the job description. That if I want to do cosmetic chemistry, this is what actually that means. And so you can see most entry-level cosmetic chemist jobs only require a bachelor's degree. But if you look at other types of jobs, that you might actually benefit from having a master's degree right after your bachelor's. I also have students who go get jobs and then later decide that, yeah, I'm ready to do a master's program. They are full-time employees and they do masters on the side as part-time. I've also had students who went from bachelor's to master's to PhD. I've had students who went from bachelor's to PhD right away. If you have a really strong academic background and a lot of research experience, you can do that. So it's like options are limitless out there. So what you could do is to connect with people out there and just really look for their advice and talk to your professors. We've been advising students for a long time and we've seen all sorts of students. And we sort of know your personality so we can advise you or at least, tell you what we think would benefit benefit you, and then you can decide to either take the advice or not. But it's good to talk to a lot of people. You could also talk to industry professionals and ask them why they decided to pursue the degrees that they pursued. So we talked a lot about hard skills here, things you go to school to pick up. There is a bunch of other things that your employers will be looking for, and those are what we call the soft skills. For example, time management and project management. And it doesn't mean that you have to run a project for 6 months. It could be a term project in one of your courses where you are the leader of the group and you're sort of managing everybody. Probably everybody is doing some time management when you are in school, but also clear communication is extremely important. Organization and planning, teamwork. You will be working in a team, in a small team and across teams. So it's important for you to be a team member, to be able to criticize, to take critique, to really have an opinion and be able to verbalize that. Leadership skills, which could be a student organization, could be a voluntary, community voluntary, something where you volunteered and you had some leadership experience. So you don't have to think about like, oh God, I have to take this leadership course. No, those could be much more simple things at your level that could take you to, could get you the job. Also taking responsibility, and taking responsibility when things go unplanned is important. To have a plan and to know how to solve problems on the spot when you have, you know, issues to deal with. If it's a teamwork, if it's one of your colleagues, if it's the project itself. Conflict resolution, like I said, and networking, that's really important to know how to network. And that's not something that you read about and, okay, tomorrow I will know how to network. It's something that you evolve into, and you just practice it and you'll get better at it. And there is a little bit more. So what else to consider? Everybody before me mentioned become an SCC member. You can become an SCC member today. If you're not an SCC member yet, the SCC has a booth out there. SCC stands for, obviously, everybody knows, the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. There is also a global organization, IFSCC. So if you're an international student, you could also become an IFSCC member. If you're more interested in other types of chemistries, you could become an ACS member. That's the American Chemical Society. There are also pharmaceutical organizations. So it's really whatever fits your interest. You should join professional organizations. There is so much benefit that you can get. And then be part of mentor-mentee programs. Schools are running a lot of these programs. Rutgers was mentioning that they have a mentorship program. We have a mentorship program at Toledo, so we would match students with alumni as well. It's really helpful for you to have a go-to person to ask questions from other than your professors. And then try to get to know yourself. Okay, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? It's good to work in a team and have people who are really good at things you are not good at, but also it's good to identify your weaknesses so you can improve upon those. So I think it's important for you to know what you're good at, what you like and what you dislike, because that could guide you through your career. Try to boost your resume as much as you can. Do research. I think research can be really life-changing for students. In classrooms, we usually have students run experiments and make formulations that I know will work. I'm going to have you make a toothpaste. If you follow my steps and if we discuss, it should be a pretty good toothpaste. We don't have time. A lot of times you don't have time for error. We can just like, okay, figure that out on your own. We have a limited amount of time in the class we can spend together. But in research, we are trying to answer questions that nobody has answered before. I have so many students who are like, okay, we've been doing this project for 5 weeks, Dr. Baki, results are not coming in, like we have so many problems here. Can you just tell us what the results are? Oh, I don't know. And they're shocked, like, you don't know. Of course I don't know, it's research. I have theories, I have hypotheses that why it should work or what it should be, but that's like, troubleshooting, being creative, trying to figure out how to solve problems. So that could be a really cool experience, even just for a semester. If you sign up for research, you get exposed to a new way of thinking and approaching problems. Even if you're like, okay, research is not for me, just the experience of going through that process is really helpful. And I've had students who were really pulled out of the pool because they had so many different experiences, including research. Also, if you have time and you have the financial means, you could think about pursuing minors. Most of our students get a chemistry minor, and many students pick up a second business minor. And so those are things that could, again, put you, set you aside for or apart from other candidates in the pool. volunteer. The SCC has 19 chapters across the United States. They always look for help. Any help is really helpful and is welcome. So if you just want to help them with social media, if you want to help them with anything, you could volunteer and just put it on your resume. It doesn't have to be the SCC though. If it's anything else in your community, at school, at a student organization, any of those things can be helpful. That means, you know, a little bit of resume boosting again. And then network. That's why you guys are here. There will be schools and companies later here today who are hiring either for interns or for full-time positions. So make sure, and on the floor as well outside, make sure to go to people and network and just introduce yourself, talk about yourself a little bit, ask them about what they are doing, what they are selling, what kind of business they are into, just to really start building those relationships. Like Abby said, it's not about, hi, I'm Gabriella Baki, do you have a job? It's not how it works. You really have to work on those relationships, and so you can start that today. And that would conclude all of that I had to say. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the invitation.